Hi, it's Future from Sewmate. Welcome to my channel. If you want to see how I make this long sleeved turtleneck knit dress, please stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do, and make sure to turn on the notification bell so that you get notified each time I upload new videos. You will need your no-dot bodice block to do this. I've got a tutorial on this channel on how you can make one. I'll leave a link in the description below and the link above as well. So we're going to start with the front. First, trace around your block as usual, making sure to mark all the notches. Lift your block. Square in your waistline. Lengthen your dress to your desired length. I'm using 50 centimeters and square across. Square another line down from the hip line. With your curved ruler, smoothen the curve. Now I'm adding the hem allowance 2 centimeters. Lower the center front down by 1 centimeter and square line across. Connect it back to the original neck shoulder point. So we're going to cut this one out. Now adding my shoulder seam allowance, which is 0.6 centimeters. Now measure the neckline from the center front to the neck shoulder junction, excluding the seam allowance. Now labeling the pattern. Front dress, cut 1 on fold, and I put my initial. Now adding my grain line parallel to the center front and adding the notches to the pattern. So the center front is going to be on fold and cutting around the pattern. So our front pattern is finished. Now we're moving on to the back. Moving on to the back, trace around the block as usual, making sure to mark all the notches. Lift your block. Lengthen your dress to your desired length. I'm using 50 centimeters like I did with the front. Square line across and square another line down from the hip line. With the curved ruler, smoothen the curve. Square in the waistline and adding the shoulder seam allowance 0.6 centimeters like we did with the front. Now measuring along the neckline from the center back to the seam allowance and write it down. So the center back is going to be on fold. Adding notches to the pattern. Adding my hem allowance 2 centimeters like we did with the front. And labeling the pattern. Back dress, cut 1 on fold, and I put my initial. Now adding the grain line to the pattern parallel to the center back and cutting around the pattern. And our back pattern is finished. Now moving on to making the turtleneck band. So you will need these 2 measurements that we measured on our patterns before. Add them together and write the total down. My total is 25 centimeters. So first draw a straight line, then decide on the width of your neck band I'll be using 5 centimeters in this tutorial, so multiply that by 2 to get 10 centimeters, square a line across and square another line like I just did. Next, measure your total neck measurement and put a mark like I've done. Square another line up from that point, which is 10 centimeters, and square across. Now close your rectangle like I'm doing here. Next, we're going to add seam allowances to 3 sides, which is 6 millimeters, and one side is going to be left on fold, so no seam allowance needed on that side. Now I'm just completing my lines there, adding my grain line in the middle of the pattern piece and labeling the pattern. Turtleneck band, cut one on fold, and I put my initial, adding notches and cutting around the pattern. Our turtleneck band is finished. Now we're moving on to making the sleeve. You will need your basic sleeve block pattern for stable knits. I'll put a link in the description below for you. So now just trace around the block. We're just going to use it as is, marking all the notches, adding the grain line, elbow line, and wrist line. So we'll use the original grain line and outlining our notches there and labeling the pattern. Sleeve, cut one pair, and I put my initial and cutting around the sleeve pattern. And that's it, our sleeve pattern is finished as well. And we finished all our patterns. Now we're moving on to sewing. Now we're going to start with sewing our dress. So what you need are your completed patterns, your fabric, and your cutting tools. I'm going to be using this double knitted fabric. So let's start with cutting our fabrics. So I finished cutting all my pattern pieces. So I'm gonna put my sleeves and the neckband on the side for now. Get your front and back pieces, lay them one on top of the other, right sides facing. Now pin along the shoulders. So now take this to the sewing machine and sew along the shoulders here with a 0.6 centimeter seam allowance. If you are using the sewing machine, make sure to use the 6x stitch so that it stretches along with the fabric. I'm going to be using a serger for this project, so let's go and do that. So finish sewing on the shoulder seams. Now lay your dress with the right side facing up like this. And we're going to take our sleeve pieces and we're going to align them along the armholes, making sure to match all the notches. Let's do that for both the sleeves. Now take this to the sewing machine and sew along the armholes with a zigzag stitch. Okay, whilst we're there, we're gonna take our neckband piece and we're going to fold it back like this with the right sides facing, and we're going to go on and sew along the open seam here with a zigzag stitch or with the serger. Let's do that for both. Okay, now so we've joined on our sleeves and we've also joined the turtleneck band. Okay, so put your dress right sides facing. The next thing we're gonna do now is to pin along the side seams from the sleeve hem to the dress hem for both sides, making sure to match all the notches. Now take this to the sewing machine and sew along the side seams with a zigzag stitch. Okay, now so we finished sewing the side seams. The next thing we're gonna do is to hem our dress for both the sleeves and the dress hem. So first we're going to overlock right round, and then we're gonna finish with the twin needle finish, okay, for both the sleeves and the hem. So whilst we're there, we're also going to put on our neckband. So next, turn your dress to the right side. And what we're gonna do is to take our neckband and we're going to fold it in half like this, lengthwise. Now with your dress right side up, we're going to insert it through the hole here like this. From there, we're going to match both the edges and pin along the whole neckline. Now take this to your sewing machine as well and just sew along the neckline here with a zigzag stitch. I'm gonna do that with my overlocker. Let's do all that now. Okay, now so we finished attaching the neckband and we also finished with hemming the dress with the twin needle stitching, nice and neat, and the dress is finished and I'm happy with the result. Thank you.